Yay! Welcome back, everybody, to the Cool People Doing Cool Things podcast. And today I have my new friend, Roberta Ravella, with me. I'm excited because usually when I bring people on, at least right now, I've known them for years and it's almost, I know too much about them to do a good interview. And I really have to sit and think. And you and I just met and I know you enough to know that you do a lot of cool things. So I'm really excited today to get to know you some more and to have a really interesting conversation. So
Yeah, me too.
you ready to dive in?
I am. Let's go.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about you, about your life, about who is Roberta Ravella?
Oi. So logistically, I live in Florida. I married, my husband retired, and we decided to move here. I grew up in North Carolina. I lived in outside of Washington, D.C. for 25 years in the
Ooh, where
mortgage
at?
business. Fairfax.
Okay, I'm from Maryland. I'm from Frederick. So
Oh, yeah.
that's cool.
I'm a 703.
Oh, nice. I'm a 301.
There
So
you go.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a funny thing. I mean, I didn't grow up there. So when I first moved there, I was living in Virginia and I had no idea what I was doing. So I took a job from the Virginia side of the Beltway, driving with traffic to the Maryland side of the Beltway. So if you know
Oh,
anything about that area, you just went, oh,
yeah.
oh,
No.
right. And my boss was from Bethesda and he
Mhm.
went to University of Maryland. They were
Me
301s.
too.
I didn't know
Yes.
anything about any of it. Right. They're like, oh, 703. Oh, I'm like, what's that?
Yes.
This
Yeah. For
area
people that
code,
don't
it's the
know,
area,
Maryland and
right?
Virginia, we like fight over who's better and who owns DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who owns the suburbs?
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think that was the first, I don't think, I know that was the first point in my life that there was no one around me who really knew me. I had a friend that I roomed with her and her boyfriend, but we didn't really interact with work. We were just outside of work. And I was in a place with literally millions of people. I grew up in rural-ish North Carolina. And I didn't have to be anything that I ever was in the past. I grew up in church. I didn't have to go to church. I didn't have to tell anybody I was going to church. I didn't have to tell anybody where I was from. I mean, they could tell from my accent. But at one point, I even dropped my accent and
Hmm.
I was like, practiced, it's like, it's such an interesting place to be, especially at that age. I think I was like 24, where it's like, I could tell anybody anything I wanted. They don't
Hmm.
know anything about me. It was a
Right.
little lonely at times, but also it was kind of growing up in such a small, confined space. I mean, everybody knew my parents. I knew exactly who they were. I, my father was a minister, so we grew up in a fishbowl as far as that was concerned. So just to be somewhere where it was like, huh, I can say anything. I can change my name if I want to. Nobody would ever know. It was just
How fun is
interesting.
that? I've done that too. I did that from Maryland to St. Louis. And coming out here,
Okay.
I came here for grad school and didn't know anybody. And it was, like you said, it was a little lonely, but it is really freeing when you're like, okay, I literally get to start over. What do I want this to look like?
Yeah,
And it is freeing, but you did it in a much more international place. There's a lot more going on
definitely.
in DC. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was definitely way more international
Yeah.
than where I grew up. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was in the mortgage business and oh my gosh, I always say I had Smith in every language. I had Nguyen, I had Rodriguez, I had Tran, I had Park, I had just people from all over that come to that area because there's money there. It's easy
Hmm.
to build a new life there. I did a lot of Sings, a lot of Patels.
Hmm. Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
interesting for sure.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put that. And especially Fairfax, because that's, I think, the wealthiest zip code in that area. Is that right? It's like a whole
You
different
know,
level.
there's four or five counties there between Maryland and Virginia that compete for the wealthiest county in the United
Okay.
States.
Which
Okay, so this
ones?
is kind of interesting. I read this article once in the Washington Post. There was a company that was studying super zip codes. So a super zip code is like 120 25% median income, over median income,
Hmm.
um, grad graduate from university and post grad
Okay.
from,
Yeah.
okay, dual incomes, home ownership, like all the things that you would say this is why these people are wealthy.
Hmm.
So there are pockets in the country where like they can say this zip code fits that.
Yeah.
whatever. It also had a lot to do with people who were still earning income, not where you're going like a retiree area where people who are wealthy. It's a second home or whatever. These are people
Right.
in they have kids, the whole nine yards, right?
Hmm.
Basically studying wealthy suburbs.
Yeah.
And that area of the country is the largest super zip code in the world.
Yeah. Oh, in the world? Wow. I
Yes.
would have thought like New York or Beijing or
Because
wow.
it breaks up like space area because you're going all the way through Maryland, suburban
Right.
Maryland, into suburban Virginia.
Yeah.
It's like literally 5 counties
Let me,
in that area.
I'm wondering, is Chevy Chase isn't a county, but I bet it's like
No,
Chevy
it's in
Chase.
Montgomery County.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
Moco. And then Fairfax, Alexandria, maybe?
Yep. Fairfax, Alexandria, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Prince William County,
Really?
Loudoun County.
Uh-huh. My brother's in
Yeah.
Loudoun. PG County surprises me. I guess not because that's where my mom grew up, not in the wealthy side. But I think there's a lot of like pockets in there.
Mhm.
So that's
There
interesting.
are. And people started moving out, right? As things
Yeah.
get more expensive in one area, they would move in.
Right.
And it definitely, I don't think they're one of the wealthiest, like if you look at it in that who's more, it used to be
Hmm.
Montgomery County or Fairfax County, but now, at that time anyway. So that was in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. But it was
Yeah.
interesting
That's
the
cool.
effect they were saying that it was having, especially on school systems and kids,
Hmm.
because they didn't grow up around anybody who wasn't like them.
That's
Like if
very
you think
interesting.
about, yeah, like if you, I mean, at least for me, the school I went to, even through high school into college, it was mixed, right? Like you had people who
Hmm.
were dirt freaking poor and super rich, and then
Oh,
everything in between,
interesting.
right? Like
Yeah.
they used to say, the doctor's kid and the plumber's kid.
Yeah.
But when you get in those zip codes where the majority of them, so of course there's pockets in every where you have lower income, but the thing people in those zip codes do is push the school systems to where their kids go to school with their kids. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't have
yeah.
kids. So
Yeah.
the kids don't know anybody who wasn't born with 5 iPads and a BMW.
Wow. Can you imagine?
No.
I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. It's a suburb of DC in Baltimore. And it was working class and low income, but the neighborhood was run by MS-13. So it was an interesting, unique place to grow up. But then my family, like my dad was a contractor. Since we're recording, I won't say for who, but it's such an interesting place. Like it's such an interesting, like 2 hour swath of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I dated in college, this guy's dad was the head of World Bank in China. So he went to Sidwell Friends. His friend, that's where the Obama kids went, and his friend was like substitute teaching for the Obamas. So out here in
Yeah.
Missouri, when I say things like that, or I'm like, yeah, when 9/11 or this, and they're like, it's real for people who lived there. And
Yeah.
when I say things like that out here, they're like, what? So yeah.
It's interesting. Like one of my friends told me she worked on the Hill, which she
Hmm.
worked. I think she was in the Senate um, for a while, and then she was in Health and Human Services.
Hmm.
Um, but she was like, they always say when you move out of the area, you don't realize politics here is real. And it's not real like, are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? It's real like, I work for a think tank who just designed the policy that will shape our school systems and blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yes.
or somebody who works for the IMF, or I had a friend who worked for the CIA, and
Hmm.
it didn't come out. We had all known him for a little while, and we're like, "Aren't you an accountant?" And he's like,
Hmm.
"Who do you think takes care of appropriations?"
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, you're an
Oh, yeah.
accountant? CIA? Huh?" It's stuff like that where the
Yes.
politics is so outside of who's running Democrat,
Oh,
Republican,
yeah.
and into this like really serious policy wonk type of population who
Yes.
deeply care. And a lot of their
Yes.
jobs are directly affected. I mean, most of the people I did loans for were somehow contracted into the federal government, or they worked for the
Yes.
federal government, or they supplied services for the federal government. So,
Right. Yeah, when I used to go out, I moved to St. Louis when I was 22. And so when I'd go out to the bars, in DuPont in DC, we would talk about the bills, right? And there would be CIA
Yeah.
agents, and like my dad worked for NASA for a while, um and it's CIA, NSA, all that's like pretty normal. And then I came out here and I was at a bar and I was like, "Did you guys see the new bill?" And they're like, what's a bill?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in a different culture now."
Yeah. Like you missed
So
Schoolhouse Rock, didn't you?
right.
Yeah,
Well, they
you're
just
in
didn't.
total
They
different.
knew what a bill was, but they don't. People out here don't think about the bills on the house all day, and
Yeah,
I don't either anymore either. So
don't
yeah,
either.
what a wild place to go from semi-rural North Carolina to then have your like formative adult years in DC in the mortgage industry. How did like
Yeah.
tell me what drew you to the mortgage industry?
Nobody's drawn to it. You fall into it. So,
Oh,
what some people are. It's funny when it's going crazy, when it's like everybody's making a shit ton of money in the mortgage
yeah,
business. Like people are just like, oh, I could be a loan officer. I'm like, sure you can. And then 2 years later, they're out, right?
yeah.
But I actually took a temporary job between semesters in college. Like I was going to take off a semester and I wanted to have a job that actually paid money, not, just working at retail or whatever.
Right.
So I got a temp job and I ended up being a receptionist at a mortgage company.
Oh,
And the admin and one of the loan officers just taught me a whole bunch of stuff. And I did a whole bunch more than just answering the phones. And then when I left school, I moved up to DC and I was going to get a job with Marriott of all places.
hmm.
Long, boring story. And it just wasn't coming through. So I thought, I know how to do mortgage work. So
Hmm.
I got a job as a loan processor, which is hilarious because you need to be
Yeah.
really organized to be a good loan processor. And I think that my C on the disc profile is like a 4, literally.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
yeah. But I started working for the guy, Darren is his name. He mortgage broker in Bethesda, Maryland, right outside, and then just circling around to like another job. And the owner of the company was like, "You really should be a loan officer."
Hmm.
And I'm like, I can't do commission. And he's like, "Roberta, I will give you your salary for 3 months. And at the end of this, if you're not making more money than your salary, I will give you your processor job back." And
Wow.
I was young enough. I mean, my rent was really cheap. I had a roommate, I lived 30 minutes outside of the city on at 2 o'clock at night, right? When there's no traffic. But, and I didn't have a car payment and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, can't hurt.
Right.
And I worked off commission for 25 years.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you stayed
Yeah.
in the DC, you stayed in the Bethesda area that whole time?
No, I was in Virginia the whole time.
Oh, that's right. That's
No,
what you
I
said.
drove from Virginia to Bethesda. I drove
Oh,
from
that's right.
Asheville.
That is
Yeah.
such a, oh,
Yeah.
I, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at one point, I worked very close to where I lived, and then we all started working from home. I don't think I would have made it that long in that traffic. When we
Yeah.
left, when we left, my husband's commute was 11 miles from our door to his office, and it took him at least an hour.
And that's the other thing that's like normal there, right? Like my
Yeah,
dad would go from Frederick, which is in Western Maryland, down through DC. I forget what, well, there's a couple, I don't even think I really know where he was going, but it was like a 2 hour drive each way. And like, but he's a big Pink Floyd fan. So I think he just played Pink Floyd the whole time and like
I
decompressed. And there were like way too many
yeah,
people at our house. And it was like
like
his time. But you have to like build a relationship with that traffic.
you do. Because if you fight it, if you're pissed off every day, I mean, talk about a lesson in what you resist.
Right.
Because you can leave your house and it's like 15 minutes, and then 5 minutes later, like 2 hours
Yes.
because somebody had a car crash
Yep.
or
Yep.
they shut down
Yeah.
the cabin on and you're done, right? Like,
Right. I kept a guitar in my passenger seat and I would just play when there was traffic. So you have to
no,
figure it out, you know?
I listen to a lot of talk radio, like,
Yeah.
and now, like, my brother still lives up there and he listens to a lot of podcasts.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
if you don't make peace with it, mm,
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
I say that how we drive is how we live our life. And I think for anybody that hears that, so my first big girl job, I was a therapist. And I had my master's in social work, and I would drive to the therapy office. And I had such East Coast road rage that by the time I got there, I was like, those fuckers. And I was like, I can't walk in and be a therapist angry. And I really had to look at like, what is going on with me? And I did some internal work. So if you are somebody that does get like super road rage, like take that as a learning opportunity. For me now, my motto is I want to go as fast as I want to go in the fast lane. Just please don't get in my way, but I will get out of your way. And then,
Yeah.
that's how I go in life. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's interesting because East Coast there's such an urgency, right? And especially there was like there was everything was right now, right?
Right.
Like this person did what they were supposed to do. Everything needs to happen right now. And there was so much pressure, and I put so much value in myself and
Oh,
in my
interesting.
business, and how about how much pressure I could put on people and how quickly I could get things done, and like just that urgency. And when we moved to Houston because my husband was transferred, they were like, "What?"
Yeah.
like like that was the first time I really
Yeah.
encountered like I do not understand what you people are doing.
Yep.
Because I was gonna stay with my Virginia clients, and long story short, I didn't. Decided to start my business over, and so even in Houston, where they're like, uh, I'm like, still, I was just flabbergasted often. And
Yeah.
then after, I got my marketing business and we moved to Florida, my husband's retired. I think I've told this story on a podcast before, but I woke up one morning, like I think I had like 3 clients at the time, and everything was done. I knew everything was done. Like, I was doing all their posting was done, all their
Yeah.
content was written. It's fine. It was like a Monday or whatever. Who knows? And I woke up and with that same like, what day is it?
Oh,
What time is it? Who do I have to go? Like that
yes.
just gripping
Yeah.
urgency. And it was like, what am I doing? I literally have
Yes.
nothing to do. Literally, not figuratively. And I was
You had it all
still just
done.
in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do with that? Because I did experience that moving to St. Louis, and I did experience it when I went out to LA one time. I was at some amusement park out there, and I was like, what is going on? Because there was no pushing in the lines. Like they would leave the roller coaster half full, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, we have nowhere else to be. And I'm like, what? So I'm curious how you undid that.
Undid that. So it was interesting. I had been reading a Brene Brown book at the time, and she said something in the book that stuck with me, which was most of us wake up in the morning, and in the first 5 minutes we decide we're already behind, we're already not enough, we've already failed.
Oh,
And I was like, I kind of do that. And then I was laying in bed, I'm like, holy shit, I do.
yeah.
And I just practiced telling myself every morning, I don't have anything to do. And some mornings I literally did not.
Yeah.
And other mornings I did. Like, obviously, you got to go to the girls' room within a few minutes of waking up. At least I do. And then I need to brush my teeth. That's usually why I get out of bed. I can't stand it. Right.
Yeah.
So there are things, quote unquote, you have to do. Other people will tell me, well, I have to get my kids up, or I have to take the dog out, or those are all choices.
Mm-hmm.
You're a good parent and a good dog owner. So you do them. But we know
Right.
people who don't.
True. True.
It's a choice.
Right.
So it's interesting to me how much of my actual power or whatever agency that I would give away every day to I don't have a choice when I was choosing all of it. And
Hmm.
so it was a process. I say I taught myself that, like I taught myself not to drink sugar in my coffee. It took me about a year,
Yes.
right? Like take it down, take it down,
Mm-hmm.
take it down until now. Now I fully wake up and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and I do a little gratitude practice from my bed. Like, it's so nice in
Yeah.
here. It's cold in here. The sheets are nice. Whatever, the things like, oh, I slept really well.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wonder what's on this calendar today. I mean,
It's
just
oh,
constant.
excuse me. It's an intentional choice, is what I'm hearing you say. And it's a
Yes,
practice.
it's definitely practice because the habit is so ingrained for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Even like So I was telling you before we came on, we're having construction around the building.
Hmm.
And so by like 10 minutes before, there's no way I can film this or be on recording with you where I would normally. So I've gotten it down pat now. And there were part of me that wants to press to start with the
Yeah.
urgency. Like I asked my husband, can you help me just, and he knows the drill. He grabs my camera, grabs my water. I put everything in and he's like, he's dawdling. And I'm like, I almost was like, can you just move? I'm like, and then I thought to
Yeah.
myself, it'll be all right if I'm a minute late.
Yeah.
Sarah will be fine. Like that
Yeah.
whole sense of urgency that we put into things that just how many things are really, really not urgent
Right.
at all. I want to be on time because it's the polite, professional thing to do, but if I'm not careful, I'll sit there and just berate myself for like, why
Oh,
didn't you get up earlier? Why didn't you get out of it? I took a
yeah.
tub this morning instead of a shower. You should have just gotten in the shower. You shouldn't have curled your hair. Like, it's like, none of that shit matters.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I don't know about you, but I would rather somebody be late, but like feel good than rush to get there.
Yeah.
You know, the challenge I'm finding right now is because I live my life like that. Like I really try not to put urgency in our day to day life. And part of
Hmm.
that is nervous system, but part of it is my husband's a police officer in a pretty intense area. So we try as
Okay.
hard as we can to regulate our nervous system and see
Hmm.
what really matters. And the thing that I'm finding is every once in a while, I'll get a new client or a new colleague that is still in that. And it's almost like because I'm not in that, I feel this like, wait, what? And it like creates this like friction. And I
Friction.
don't say it. And I try really hard not to fall in line, but like finding a way. So what I found, I don't know how you handle that, but I just communicate so that they feel held because they feel like I'm not taking something seriously. And I'm like, no, we don't
Mhm.
need to email about this right now. It's 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, and it's how do you handle that when you encounter people that are still in the
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because in our culture, that means you're important. If you need to work at
mm,
7 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, it's because what you're doing is important and you're important. And
hmm,
so a lot of times when I tell people I don't do that or I don't I'm not taking that from you, I have to remember that they're finding that as their importance.
that
And
makes
so
sense.
I don't take it on.
Yeah.
I just usually let them know, hey, or like if the email's going crazy at 7 or I have some friends who like to work later. They get up later and
Hmm.
they work later. And if you're texting me about work stuff or, networking things or whatever at 8, 9 o'clock, I'm just not answering.
Hmm. Same.
And we've all come to the conclusion like it was four of us in a group and two of us are up at 6 a.m. and the other two weren't up till 9. So like our schedules are off, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, we won't text you at 6:30 in the morning if you don't text me at 10 o'clock at night
Oh, that's a good
or 9
boundary.
o'clock at night or 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
These are the times and I had some people tell me at times I wasn't serious, like you're saying, and I'm like, I
Hmm.
am serious, and I know the level of importance of what's important to me.
Right.
And so
Right.
if you want me to attend a business meeting at 7 o'clock at night, that is a choice that's going against other choices I have made. And so I need to sit with that and see if it's what I want to do.
Right. Well, and that's it, right?
I
Again, it's coming back to that choice piece. Because sometimes I like to work on weekends and I just find there's an expansive energy and I like to sit and do. But I find myself, I accidentally start, if it's a weekend like 4th of July, I was like, I'm not working. And I was like, Sarah, like this, that's okay. Like the world is not going to end. Like,
no.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, I look sometimes at what I've committed to and I'm like, I'll say to myself, you committed to that. And I'm like, committed to who for that?
Right.
And why?
Right.
There's so much pressure, especially in the potosphere, in the bromosphere, whatever, to make commitments to yourself and keep them. It's like,
Yes.
but I made this commitment so arbitrarily, it means absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I'm actually going against my intuition.
Right. And you can change your mind. That's also okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It's,
the biggest commitment I made to myself was just to listen to myself and to trust me.
I love that.
And so
Yeah.
sometimes I do talk about work stuff at 7 o'clock at night. It's very rare.
Hmm.
Um, and I also, if I get pressure from somebody, I know that we're not in alignment.
That's a good reminder. I need to remember that. It's happened few and far between, right? Because we kind of, our world is a mirror, so I don't get it as much. So,
Right?
yeah.
I don't
You
either.
know, you brought up the brosphere, and the other core belief that I've decided to let go of is money loves speed. Because then it's that exact thing of like, you have to answer right now, you have to go
Yeah.
harder. And
Yeah.
if that's what you want to believe, that's great. But I make more money when I'm in alignment and when I'm
Yeah.
not forcing. I can work hard when it feels good, but money loves speed just feels so ick to me now.
You know what? It's the constantness of it.
Hmm.
Like, whatever you do that's fast, like think of anything that's physically fast, be it somebody who runs sprints, somebody who drives a fast car, somebody, a biker or an animal. You cannot do that all the time. This whole
True.
you need to get 110%, you need to give 110%. You can only do that effectively without injuring yourself a very small portion of the time.
Right.
It's bullshit. It's just another way of
Mhm.
somebody saying, like, putting value somewhere where it doesn't really belong.
Right.
I I also found that every time that I was truly procrastinating or I'm just like, I can't get myself into the flow of doing this at the speed it needs to be done, there's something else going on there. Either I really
That's
didn't wanna
true.
do it, I've got resistance in some way, and what's the resistance? Is it a story? Is it a belief? Is it there's they used to say in the mortgage business to ignore your excuses or, you know, F your excuses, whatever
Yeah.
that's bullshit. Push past your excuses. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason for your excuses. And if
Right.
they're constant and lame, there's a reason that they're constant and lame. Find out
Exactly.
why.
I do think that that's so true, though. It's almost like how many of us, I see it in my clients easier because it's easier to see everybody else's stuff than it is our
Mhm,
own. I'm sure I do
mhm.
it too, but like getting stuck in a loop of excuses. But then there's like the judging yourself for making excuses because of that pressure culture instead of what if you just really don't want to do this? Or what if, like that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I look back at some of the things that I did in the past, it's like, why would I constantly tell myself I had to do things that I knew I didn't want to do? And I listened to people say, do what you don't want to do. It'll make you a strong person. Okay, I guess. But these are also for people who don't trust themselves at
Right.
all. Now, some
That's
of
so
it,
true.
I know I needed to try things out because I
Hmm.
didn't know.
Right.
Like, I didn't know which sales technique was best for me. I didn't know
Hmm.
which, prospecting technique was best for me. So try it out. But I also took a lot of advice was that do this one. It works. It worked for us. And if you can't do it, you're not disciplined. You're not a it girl. You're not the kind of person, you don't have
Yeah.
that. And I was like, oh yeah.
But you
When
hit
in
the,
fact,
yeah.
you could have changed techniques very easily.
Yes. You're hitting the nail on the head though. What you said is something I hadn't clicked before. That kind of languaging is when we don't trust ourselves or when somebody doesn't have that self-trust. We're clinging to something else giving us what's right, what's wrong. Are we good? Are we bad? Are we winning or
Yeah.
losing? And it's not that at all. Huh.
No, it's not. But we're also taught. I mean, I'll say I'll just own that. I was taught for a very young age that trusting myself would lead to absolute disaster.
Huh.
Probably hell. Generally hell. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it was bad. And you're a woman. So on top of it, trusting yourself could lead to pregnancy. It could lead to violence. It could lead to you making other people do things they shouldn't do. Like there was a
Uh-huh.
long list of the reasons as a female in the culture I grew up in that you absolutely should not trust yourself for any reason.
Oh, that's so interesting. I did not grow up. I grew up in a like East Coast spiritual kind of like they believe in God, but we didn't like go to church and stuff. So I didn't get
Uh-huh.
that indoctrination directly. The woman one I did, but mine was much more like you must perform. Like
Okay.
you must. That's interesting though. So, I've over the years talked to a lot of women who say that. They're like, well, how can you just trust yourself? Like, won't you just go to hell? Or that's
Right.
so interesting to me.
No, I mean, think about it from every angle, not just religious.
Hmm.
In the American paradigm as we hear it now, if you trusted yourself to do what you wanted to do all day, most people would say to you, well, you're just going to end up doing nothing.
That's
And you're like,
true.
would I? Would I do nothing? Maybe for a few days. Maybe for a few
Hmm.
days.
Hmm.
Maybe I would sit on the couch at 12 o'clock and watch Netflix and eat, chips out of a bag. Maybe I would. But how many days? And
Right.
if you found yourself there a month later, wouldn't you think there's something wrong with me? Like I must be
Yeah.
depressed or like most of us want to do something that means something. We want to create something. We want to be out in the
Yeah.
world. And for those of us who don't, it's usually something's going on.
That's so true. Huh.
But
Yeah,
we're
because
constantly told if you don't drive, Sarah, if you don't drive, you're never. Oh, there's things I'm not saying not to, have it. There's things we have friction with that we want to accomplish. And so you deal with the friction. And a lot of times, sometimes it's logistical, sometimes it's habitual, sometimes you're telling yourself a really bad story.
right. I just forget that because I've been living in now I'm sure there's places I give up my agency, right? Like I still have to practice not falling back into old behavioral patterns. Like I said with 4th of July and pressuring myself. But I forget the level of I can't do what I want because I wake up every day and I'm like, what do I want today? And like you said, it's like I've chosen to everything that's on my list, I've chosen. And I
Mhm.
actively, if I'm like, this isn't feeling right, I don't do it. And I forget that that's not normal.
No. And a lot of people say, well, you need to just make yourself do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I look back at the energy that I spent trying to force myself to do things that I just did not want to do, and if I had come out of it and said, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Do I want to do this? How could I do this in a way that's palatable to me, that's fun for
Yes.
me? I used to tell a story all the time about going to spin class. When we moved to Houston, I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to drop some weight. My husband was out of town all the time. I was like, I need to just. So I went back to the gym like I used to in Virginia, and I didn't like. I'm like, you know what? The only reason I liked this before is because I had a trainer and we had fun. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to like. I just plunked around. I did this. I did that. I did this. I did that. And I found spin class that was right across the street from my house. They had this app, so I would book all my classes on the
Yeah.
app on Sunday. And then once I had been there for like 2 months, I knew all the girls that were and there were some guys in
Hmm.
there too, but I knew all the people in my class. I knew
Hmm.
the instructors I like. And even the days where I was like, I really don't want to do this, I had already booked it. My friends knew I was going to be there. I had to actively decide not to go instead of actively
Mm,
deciding to go. And so most weeks I went 3 or 4 times. I dropped a lot of weight doing it. I had so much fun. I loved it. And then when the season of it was over, it was over. I did something else. I picked something
that's
else.
cool. I love that. But I like that too because you kind of leaned into, you still have a choice, but if you're dedicated to doing this, you kind of set yourself up for, I'll do this more than I won't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with setting yourself up for success. Like I knew
Right.
people who would, put their clothes out or sleep in their gym shorts or whatever. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with any of that. I think it's the energy behind it, when I'm
Hmm.
shaming myself into something or punishing myself into something.
Right.
Like, yeah, I have a trainer now and I did the same thing when I decided I didn't want to do spin anymore because I didn't find a gym here I liked.
Hmm.
So then I trained with somebody and then I would just I'm going to go to all these gyms and see which one I like. I didn't like any of them. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm working out with a trainer on Zoom." I'm
Oh,
like, "That's
cool.
interesting." And because I wanted to do heavy weights. It's good for women after perimenopause, menopause, whatever. All the research is like heavy weights. So I found somebody who helped me. First, I hired somebody who helped me to learn how to do it. And then I tried to do it myself by myself. And I'm like, I hate doing this by myself.
Yeah.
I
That's
hate it.
my barrier. That's why I don't do it. I need to find somebody to teach me.
Yeah. Then I found somebody that I do it with. I have a trainer on Zoom. And it's like I could either just discipline myself, shame myself, force myself. But how long does that last?
Right.
It's and I've been working out with AJ for 2 years now.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
2 years now.
Yeah. Well, what I always tell people is if shaming yourself worked, you would have reached all of your goals.
Listen, we'd
Dave
be
Ramsey
skinny
would be out of
billionaires.
business.
Skinny billionaires.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, so I want to shift gears a little bit because I've started listening to your podcast, The Joy Experiment,
Oh, thank
and
you.
and I haven't listened to all of them, so I haven't heard the original like origin story. So, oh, I've got chills. That was so fun. I feel like that's always an intuitive nudge. So, how did you what's the origin story of The Joy Experiment?
Yeah. So I was doing marketing for real estate agents, and I was in a marketing mastermind. And one of
Mhm.
my friends asked me, I mean, we got together and started AI content thing. This was a couple years ago before AI was so good. Like you had to really do a lot with it. And I
Yeah.
was just having a lot of fun doing something different, whatever. And it came to a point with both of those businesses, I was like, I am out of my values. I'm outside of my values.
Oh,
And
interesting.
especially with my business partner, who I adore, our values were just like, and so we dissolved that business, and I was going to go back into the marketing business. And I think I closed the door in the bedroom one morning. I was like, I don't want to do this. Why?
Hmm.
Why am I doing this? Why am I doing something again that I don't really want to do? I'm good at it. My clients like me. It makes, it wasn't making the money I would like, probably because I didn't want any more clients because I didn't really
Mhm.
want to do it. I
I see
just
that
was like,
all the
I don't know what
time.
to yeah, I know,
Good.
right? I'm like, what am I doing? And so I had to talk with my mentor about it. And she was like, um, you're going on vacation, just take the time off. I'm like, okay. And during that time, Ryan, our mutual friend Ryan Gillen, had
Yeah.
shut down her marketing company, and she was like, "It's time for you to shut down your company and do the same thing I'm doing." I'm like, Ryan, keep your business to yourself. So I went on vacation, and
I
like, I
love
don't want to do
Ryan so much.
that. I
Yeah.
know. And when I came back, she had started her coaching, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do Ryan's coaching because I don't want to do this marketing company. And I'm just not sure. And so I started playing with the name and found the Joy Experiment. And I'm like, what am I going to do around this? And so I started creating content and things around it. And I did Ryan's identity program. Um, and it was just like, this is what I want to say. This is what I want to do. The visibility piece was just so weird because Ryan's like, you have 8 million videos on the internet. What are you telling me you're not visible? You don't want to be visible. I'm like, Ryan, I've never been on the internet as myself. Like,
Oh.
I'm on the internet rehashing marketing that I believe in, but it's not my idea. And that's
Yeah,
okay. 'Cause I do believe, I mean, I don't believe it as much as I used to, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
and I was definitely my personality, but I don't know. It's like when you're performing a little bit, or you're like, this is palatable, this is acceptable. I can go on the
Mhm.
internet and say, Sarah, your USP sucks. And that's okay. You go on the
Yes.
internet and say, Sarah, it's not your USP, it's your energetics. People are like, oh, Jesus, there goes another one. Down the woo woo path, right? Whatever. It just sounded so cliche, and it sounded so like, you know, white girl's husband retires, so she quits her job and starts a woo-woo business. Like, oh, that was tormenting for me.
Yeah.
Um, so I
Can
got
I
I got that. Go ahead.
yeah, just really quick, what I've learned is where we just like I was saying before we recorded, we're recording in Mercury retrograde for anybody that follows astrology, and I was having all sorts of sound issues, and I started looking into it because I thought it was bullshit. But I think anywhere when we're leaning into kind of this woo-woo stuff, where we're like have that visibility or the doubt is actually us leaning against something really authentic, right? Like
Uh-huh.
not performing of how do I integrate this in a way that feels good for me instead
Yeah.
of just repeating what we heard because it was on another podcast or somebody we like
Yeah.
said it. So I like that you
I
pointed
I
that part out.
agree. And it's interesting because Ryan and I have been kind of side by side doing the works that we've done. And the longer I've known her, the less she quotes people. And the longer she's
Yeah.
known me, the less I refer to someone else as well. Because
Oh, I
it
love
feels
that.
more integrated
Yes.
than it used to feel like, well, so and so said this, so, or I was reading this book, which, hey, I already mentioned Brene Brown. Like, I love
Hmm.
other people's work and consuming it
Yes.
and promoting it. But there comes a point where you're like, I've painted this painting for myself.
Yeah.
I wrote this
Well,
work for
yeah.
myself. And with the podcast, that was part of it. Like,
Hmm.
when I wanted to start the podcast, I was like, this is the natural, like, this is where I fit, right? I love to have discussions. I love to talk. I talk process. I love meeting people. Let's do it.
Yes.
And then I decided, like, as I was thinking it through, like, I don't want to interview people. I want to have discussions. I'm mostly going to have women, which I always avoided that. And
Why did you
then
avoid that?
because it it's something I definitely released from my upbringing.
Hmm.
Women were not a seat of power, and when they were, it was an issue. And so,
Huh.
if you wanted to be around money and power, you found the men.
Huh.
And even when I came out of it, and I will tell you, I'm a feminist with a capital F.
Hmm.
And even when I came out of it, it was the type of feminism that was like, I guess we have to go to the boys' room and beat the boys like boys. And so
Hmm.
to be in my feminine energy and be around other women in their feminine energy, it was very uncomfortable.
So it's a part of that. This is what I say that podcasting actually helps us do personal work. It's healing. So you've
Yes.
talked about visibility, reclaiming your power. I got chills
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going. I'll stop interrupting.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
No. So interrupt all you want. So then as I was kind of putzing around with writing a book and then doing the podcast, and then Ryan and I were talking a lot, and then was doing energy work with my mentor, um, I had a Sunday morning where I was like, "Dear ChatGPT, I want
Yes.
you to hold." Oh, I know why this came up, because the coach that Ryan and I were both with at the same time, she was talking about the 4-minute mile. So before, obviously, everybody knows the story. Before somebody ran the 4-minute mile, they were like, "This is not possible. Humans cannot run this fast." And then some dude, can't remember his name, God bless him, ran a 4-minute mile, and now it's if you can't run a 4-minute mile, don't show up to the Olympics, right? Like, it's
Right.
standard.
Right.
In some case, 16 people, 16 other people did it within, like, I want to say 6 months of him doing it. And until he did it, right? So she's like, find your 4-minute mile. So I'm like, okay, Oprah Winfrey, da, da, da. I was looking for women in feminine energy who enjoyed their lives, built the life they wanted, and weren't talking about struggle, and weren't basing everything either on their billions, their struggle, or their PhDs. Nothing wrong with
Hmm.
any of that. But
Hmm.
it's like, these, if I have to, I'm externally validating myself then. If the only reason you would ever listen to me or that I would ever talk to you is because I made money, I had a shitty life, or I had a PhD, it's external validation. And I spent my whole previous lifetime externally validating myself. And then if you look at, there's some people out there, like, it's funny, the lady who was telling us about the 4-minute mile, I don't know what her qualifications are really. I could kind of tell you. She probably has it on her website. But I knew
Yep.
when we talked the first few times, I'm like, I definitely want to coach with her. And this is
Yep.
definitely effective for me. The lady I did my healing journey with is not a millionaire. She's told me a little about her past. She doesn't have a PhD.
Hmm.
And that was the best thing for me, just not for everybody, but for me, because I had so externally qualified everything. So I'm in there picking around with ChatGPT, and I'm like, don't send me any pink sparkle boss babes. Don't send me charity workers. No, nothing wrong with either. It's just not the space I want. And don't send me somebody who's qualified their whole life because they had a shitty existence before they made money, business was
Right.
successful, whatever. I know sometimes that's the way it happens, and that's okay. But it's just not what I was looking for. And I got the worst recommendations. Like, I got some books here and there, and I don't think it's because it wasn't out there. I just wasn't finding it. And so that became the goal of the podcast. And I started with Ryan and then my friend Danielle Francine,
Hmm.
because that woman does exactly what she wants,
I
and
love
she
that.
makes so much money.
I love that.
I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I took my birds out, and then I went to the beach with the dog, and then I'm going on a crystal journey in Canada." And I'm like, "Huh." Like, "How's your business?" "Oh, I made 25 grand last month. It was great." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I
Like,
love that.
that's what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Not
Right.
necessarily that level of woo, or whatever.
Hmm.
I would think it's up to each individual. But when I just did a best of episode and I'm looking back at all these women, I'm like, these women, some of them have struggled, some of them have PhDs, a lot of them make a ton of money. But what they have done is said, I want this for myself, and I'm not doing all the bullshit I used to do to get it.
I love
I'm
that.
doing this in joy. I'm doing this in
Yeah,
peace. I'm doing this outside of hustle culture. I am not abandoning myself anymore, which is how we end up there anyway.
right.
It's 1,000%
Yes.
self-abandonment.
Yes.
And yeah,
I tell, so when I'm writing copy for or with clients, I always tell them if, in this frequency of attracting clients, most of the time people don't care about your degrees or your, and now that you're saying that, I realized I just redid my website and I didn't even think to put degrees or certifications on there because it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter anymore because what I hear you saying is a lot like you and me and Ryan and this like this is woo, but like frequency of conscious creation, it's not just about the standard metrics we're taught. What you're saying is like,
right.
we're the ones that are saying, I'm choosing what I want.
Yeah,
And, and that's kind of it, right? Like it
yeah,
doesn't have to, it's such a, and it's so fun. Like that's the best
yeah.
part.
And listen, there are things you want somebody to have a PhD for.
True.
You know, my husband, I've said this before, he has a PhD in chemical engineering. He used to design oil refineries. You
Hmm.
kind of want the man to be highly educated.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you want the person who's doing your heart surgery, you want the person who's doing your psychotherapy, you want the person who's flying your plane to be highly educated, highly
Yep.
qualified, and I wanna see that you checked your CE credits from last year. Just saying,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there are things where it doesn't matter so much. I also feel
Mm-hmm.
like we put so much into it. I don't know why I got on this train of thinking this morning. I know why. I was doing some identity stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of that is just so locked into belief of
Mm-hmm.
what this means, right? And one of the things we used to say in marketing is notice the white coat. So the doctor's coat, the white coat, if someone's wearing that with nothing else on, they don't have to have a stethoscope, they don't have to have their name on it. It can even say in the bottom, actors, no one here is a doctor. But because they have a white coat on, we
Yep.
assign like something crazy, like 75% higher trust
That's nuts.
in that white coat.
Yeah.
But what if the white coat meant you were insane or that you were a grocery store clerk? Not anything wrong with the grocery store clerk, but we're not going to trust them to tell us, where to go get surgery
Right.
or, if you need fillers or not, right? Like
Right.
these things that we assign meaning to, there's a reason we assign meaning and trust to that white coat, and a lot of it's warranted. But a lot of it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like once you get into the energy work and knowing someone's frequency and trusting yourself, then you can tell this is for me, this isn't for me. It doesn't mean
Yes.
it's all perfect,
Right. Right. But it's a
but
new level of self-trust.
yes.
Yeah. I'll add. So when I gave up my license as a therapist, I went through this whole identity crisis because I went to really good schools. I'm not even to challenge myself. I'm not even going to qualify what schools I went to because I'm really, and again, they're great schools, but I was shedding that. Like I leaned on, oh, I went to Ivy and oh, I have this degree. And I didn't realize it consciously. And what was also interesting is when I ran a therapy practice, people automatically trusted me.
Yeah.
And then when I gave up
And you
that
could have been a
license,
terrible therapist.
I could have been a terrible therapist, right? And I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of terrible therapists. And so, but then it's also I for myself, it was a personal brand identity journey of, well, who am I and why would people work with me?
Yeah.
And I came to that conclusion of, well, not everybody will. It's literally frequency. If people will know, like if I just stay true to myself and talk about whatever feels aligned, the right people come around. And I think there's so much to be said for that, no matter how your marketing's set up, no matter what you're doing or not doing. And so I love that what you're saying of like you picked your energy healer because it felt right. It felt aligned. It's not
Yeah.
because she went to this certification or
It's funny, like towards the end of the work I was doing with her, and I was really struggling to figure out how to put all this into my marketing that I was doing at
Mhm.
the time. And then when I changed over to the joy experiment, I had a long conversation with her, and I'm like, I don't know how to marry these two. And she's like, well, what if you just do what you're doing and you don't market? I'm like, Britt, you have to. You have to market. And she's like, do you? She's like, where'd you find me? I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I saw your name on a page in a newsletter from a guy that I know that I trust him. So there was some transfer of trust. But he's just said I worked with this lady. He didn't list her website. There was no contact information. I Googled her.
Mhm.
She had a website. It was a one pager. You could book a call with her. She posts on Facebook only once every 3 months.
Mhm.
And from the first time I spoke to her, I knew that was the right thing.
Yep.
And it was
Yeah.
not covered by insurance. I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Holy shit." And I was like, here's the money.
Yeah.
Here's all of it. I'm all in."
Yes. Exactly. And well, you and I are both marketers and podcasters, and there's nothing wrong with marketing, but you don't have, like, I don't have I want to, but I don't right now have an active marketing campaign. And I have, I think, 2 new clients on the books this week, and it has to feel aligned. So if you are doing marketing, it can't be performative or because you should or have to.
Right? I was
Yeah.
doing that on LinkedIn last week. I was like, "Why am I hating posting on LinkedIn right now?" I'm like, "Oh, because you told yourself you should do and you have to, and if you don't, it's dumb." I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah."
Yes. Yeah. That's
Right?
hilarious.
Like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And then I'll sit there, I'll find myself in that place. I'm like, "Is it working?" It's like
Oh,
opening the
yeah.
oven door when you're cooking soufflés, right? Like, stop it already. You have to leave.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So I think of podcasts like movements. So what is your movement with the Joy Experiment? Like, what are you hoping, or what do you know? What are you here to do with the Joy Experiment?
For me, it really is to show other women, myself included, continuously that this isn't just available. It's available if you want to make millions, if you want to make squillions, if you want to pay your bills. Like, this is possible because we
Yes.
see the opposite often, and it's not the opposite. It's different. I say that all the time. This is not the opposite. It's different. But just to see that, yes, this actually works, and
Mm-hmm.
I have questions like, I had a lady on there last week, and the podcast will come out in, I think, 2 weeks. Her name's Bianca B. King. And she had gone through this process where she built 2 businesses. One, she said, burnt her out and almost trashed her completely and her marriage. She's like, I shut it down. I started a new one. And midway through, I'm like, shit, I'm doing the same thing. How do I, s-
Mm-hmm.
how do I stop doing this? And she did her healing work and then started doing this energy work. And, I asked her, I'm like, "What was your feeling of abundance?" Because she has a little pathway, and she's like, "It's a circle. You just keep going around and round, right?" I'm like, "So what was your first feeling of, like, real abundance?" And she said, "It had nothing to do with money." And then she's like, "And I can feel it now." Just like this
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
peacefulness, this amazement, this joyfulness of like, "Ah."
Yes. Oh,
Just
I
like,
love
and
that.
I get to come to work every day and do this and help other people feel the same. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, um I I stay out of fix yourself or this is a better what as much as I can. What I want you to see
Mm-hmm.
is if you want to do this way, because we see the hustle grind thing work. It can totally work. It might fry you, it might burn you to the ground, whatever, but it definitely works. There are many a
Yeah.
rich person right now, if that's what you're optimizing for, is just wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it. It
Right.
works. But if you want your life to be yours,
Right.
and I want people to see as much as they can that it's available.
In that narrative of don't just wait until that one day where you've earned it.
Yeah.
I heard a story once. This guy I met, he his dad worked and worked and worked and worked and did the thing you do, right? And then he hit retirement, went on a ski trip and had an accident and was paralyzed from the neck down. His first trip in retirement. Like
Yeah.
buku bucks. And It's such a message of, yes, plan for retirement, right? But like, we can't wait. Like that's, I don't know, that's always been in my, like since a young age, it's
You
happening
know,
right now.
it is. And I thought about this when I was at a workshop, a women's workshop, and introduced this question. And then I asked myself this often: when I blank, then I will blank. Like what is filling in those blanks for me? When I have this many clients, when I weigh this amount, when my husband stops blank, when my kids are away from, when I feel comfortable, when then I will. Why not now?
Mm-hmm.
Why not now?
Yep. Yep. I had that with my student loans. I thought when I paid them off, I would feel such freedom. And I actually, I got out of that. This is where I started to learn about frequency, right? So I did this thing where
Okay.
I would visualize them being paid off
Uh-huh.
like 10 years beforehand. And what is the feeling? And I would get into the feeling. And then I would say, what would I be doing? And I realized I would go on more walks. I wouldn't push myself as hard. I
Yeah.
wouldn't show up with urgency. And so I started doing that before they were paid off. And then the irony was I paid them off and I'm like, oh, like I don't
Yeah.
feel any different. Like I thought it would be this huge monumental thing. I think because I had attached so much shame to debt
Yeah.
and also picking social work as the beginning because that's not, you can't pay off $100,000 in student loan debt on a job
Social
that's
work.
on
Sorry,
social
honey.
work. Right. And so I had all these stories, but I finally just let go of it and it did pay off. We paid them off. And it's that same idea of if I pay off my loans, then I will feel free. And I was like, well, I can feel free right now. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but I still feel
Yeah.
like there's other places. This is a practice, right? So now it's like
You know,
yeah, go
I
for it.
have a similar framework. It's in my book. It's called Release, Allow. I'm sorry, Relief, Allow, Release, Receive. And I have noticed that I go through this cycle. Like I'm looking for relief from something. Like you're looking for relief from the pressure that you felt from your student loans. You got to allow that to come in. Once you started allowing that, I want to feel free. I'm allowing this to come in. You started releasing that shame
I did.
and the things that go along with it. Like you start giving it back. The story that bad people who have debt are stupid. I give that back. The story that why did you pick social work? What do you work? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like all those stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you get to this place where you can receive that feeling of freedom. And then you can receive what you want that goes along with that feeling of freedom, which is clients with no urgency, which
Mm-hmm.
is a business that you don't operate out of shame, which
Right.
is waking up in the morning going, you know what? I chose to take on $100,000 in student loans. And today I choose whatever, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
whatever it is. It's interesting. I have felt that pressure, that money pressure, and that shame of my choices when I had so much money and when I had so little money. And I felt the freedom of unattachment with
Yeah.
so much money and so little money. Like that
Yeah.
whole feeling state sounds like a lot of bullshit until you think about it.
True.
If you just think about like sometimes the freest we ever were about money is when we didn't have very much, we were making do, or we just weren't thinking about it all the time. And then some of the least free is when you had it, it was coming in, or you were anticipating, or you had a lot, and now you got to keep it. And
Mm.
also the never ending ness of it. Like if you're in that frequency of the earning and the stress and the urgency, even when you get it, it's not enough. Now you got to keep it. Now you got to shame yourself because you spent some of it. Like,
Yeah.
that cycle sucks.
I was surprised by that I had less money shit to work through when we were making way less money. Like I was just like la la la, and now I've really had to do some inner work as we receive more. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I feel like it comes back to self-worth.
Yes.
Like I had to really allow myself to receive that, and now I'm working on allowing just more in the sense of what you said, like joy and living a
Yeah.
life that feels good all the time.
Yeah. All the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
There can be a lot of shame attached to all of it, but I think it truly is a mirror of whatever it is that you're trying to relieve, and relief can come in different ways, right? It
Right.
doesn't mean necessarily from pain. Sometimes we're just trying to get to the next part of our growth,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to relieve and release and allow, like as you're allowing more money and more clients and higher income and more expansiveness, I found
Yeah.
the edges of my nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So I need
Yes.
to, relieve that, release that. And then it's also, I just have this picture in my head sometimes of like when you're going down a stream and there's places where there's lots of rocks, little rocks. There's places where there's big rocks. There's places where there are no
Ah,
rocks.
yeah.
Like there's always that little, and it's interesting. Like it's always interesting to me what comes up. It comes up in layers. Sometimes it's not so deep anymore. It used to be really deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, huh, I can visualize through it or meditate through it and off it goes.
Right.
And so just allowing and allowing more, you're just receiving more and more.
Right. I've definitely been finding because I kind of stagnated for years because I didn't have anything I really felt passionate about growing. And I'd helped everybody else grow their stuff. And now I do finally have something I'm really passionate about. And now that I'm doing that work and stretching, I've 100% nervous system work. Like it's
Yeah.
like that can't be ignored. So,
No,
uh,
it will shut you down.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized I feel like you and I could talk for like 5 hours. I'm gonna end up becoming one of those like Joe Rogan podcasters where it's like 3 hours. But um,
Yeah.
what do you feel like? I feel like if there's one thing you want women to hear, not just or people to hear about life and living, what would that be? I know it's really broad, but I feel like you have a
Yeah. No,
message.
I think that at the end of the day, the bottom of most of the things we call problems or issues or whatever is that we've externalized our love and belonging or our worthiness or
Mm,
both. And
wow.
so when you internalize that, and I'm not earning to be accepted, I'm not working on my body, so I love myself. I'm working on my body because I love
Mhm.
myself. I don't need to prove anything from what I'm creating or how I'm being. I accept myself. I love myself. I'm worthy internally. Then you really do come from a different place. It's a place of creation, and it
Yeah.
really can come out of joy. And again, it's not the opposite of the proving. It is different.
Oh, that's a pretty juicy nugget right there.
Yeah. Because
Huh.
we get so caught up in either or, black and white. This is America. Either you work hard and you earn it, or you're a lazy asshole. Like, yeah, it's not the in between you're looking for. Like, maybe you are, but it's a different way of being altogether, where I'm creating from a place of, I want to do this. I love to do this. This is my desire. I listened to you and Ryan talking, and you were saying something about what if your desires are your intuition? I was like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my,
Yeah. I
yeah,
got to that because I kept asking as an intuitive, I would ask and go into my channel and I kept getting all these different messages. And I was like, wait a second. The lesson here is if you're playing with the universe and intuitive stuff, cool. But what do I want to do? Like, this is my life. I incarnated here. I get to decide. And there's so much power because if you think about it, if you believe in God, God created the universe. We are an image of God. So then we are creators in our own life. Like we get to express that. And so our desires of what
yeah.
do I want to create? It's so pure.
It is. We
Oh,
muck it
that's,
up, but we
yeah.
usually muck it up when we're outside of love and belonging and we're outside of our own worthiness.
Oh, that's so true. Because that's what energy healing world says is like there's either love or fear if you really come down to it. And when we stay in love, that's how we stay aligned. And we're not going to get it perfect, but I love that.
No, because there's no perfection in it, you know?
Hmm.
There's a verse in the Bible that says that perfect love cast out fear, and I think that's probably perfect was probably the wrong word. I feel like it's a wholeness of love.
Mm. Hmm.
Like we're looking that word perfection can have such a different meaning, but like if you look all through nature, nothing is perfect. Nothing's
No,
perfectly shaped or perfectly green all the time or what. I mean, that's just nature. That's the way it works. But it's
right.
perfectly whole.
That's true.
It's whole.
It's like how I look at my daughters, right? Like they're human, they have their imperfections, but my love for them is so whole. Like it
Yeah.
is perfect. Like they're perfect. And I've actually been playing with how I look at them, is taking that energy back to myself. And it's been bringing up some stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, it just like shined a light on where I wasn't loving myself wholly.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
um,
and there's a lot of theory out there that those resistance pebbles are parts of you that want to be loved. And the more you love parts of yourself, the more the other parts are going to go, me too. I
oh,
want to be loved
that's so
too.
cute. Yeah. Huh. Oh, I love this. I do feel like we could talk for hours and
Oh,
um I know we'll just have to get together again on here and talk more
yeah.
because
No, you should come on the joy experiment.
oh, I would love to. I would
Yeah.
absolutely love to. And oh, that would be so fun. Yeah, I feel like because these are the pieces coming back to my mission with this podcast, the nugget I'm coming away with this is you helping anchor in that frequency that we can create what we want and we can do it
Mhm.
without abandoning ourselves. And we can still like we can have everything we want. It's kind of like what Ryan says, like, and we could still have money. But I love her quote where she's like, I want that to be the least interesting thing about me, right? That
Yeah.
it's not just about the money, but we're also not, I don't like it when people are like, oh, but I don't need money. It's
It-
like, well, yeah.
It's the permission to stop qualifying. And women need to start giving themselves the fucking permission to stop qualifying.
That's it.
I want a joyful life. I'm not abandoning myself, but I want to make money too, but it's good money. And I blah, blah. No, no
Mm,
buts. No, just a
mm-hmm.
period.
Yep.
I have a profitable business that I created out of joy. This is what I wanted. And I would like to have more love, more
Yep.
clients, more wealth, more income, more experiences,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Period. No but, no and, no qualification.
I love that. Ugh. So where can people find you and also your book? What's the name of your book?
It's called Open for Business. How to
Oh,
build, did I say build? Yeah, how to build a business you love outside of hustle,
oh, I love
without the hustle. I need to write that on my hand. Like, isn't it funny? 'Cause
that.
long titles, you have to do the long
Yeah.
subtitle. And I'm like, say
Yeah.
without or but it's on Amazon. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, I'll drop
You
it in the
can,
show notes too.
yeah, you can search it, Roberta Ravella, Open for Business, and it will come up.
Okay, cool.
And it's also on my website, which is
Mhm.
thejoyexperiment.live. And the podcast and everything is there as well.
That's great.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's
on
a
YouTube.
goodie. Oh, cool. I love that. Well, thank you for joining me today. This was fun. This was such a
Yeah, it
fun
was great.
convo. So, and for anybody, go follow Roberta. I'll put all the links in the show notes and I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.